Welcome back to my channel, everyone, but more importantly, welcome to October. As a horror movie fan, Halloween is by far my favorite movie-themed holiday. So during the month of October, I'm going to be doing something very special to celebrate. Every Friday of October, instead of my regular videos focusing on one movie, I'll be releasing top 5 videos for horror-themed movies. That's right, 5 Fridays, 5 top 5 videos. Let's kick things off on this first Friday with something for the kids. This is my top 5 family-friendly scary movies. Now, before I begin, I want to make it clear, this is a list of my favorites. If your favorite is not on my list, that is okay. That just means we have different opinions. That doesn't mean I hate your movies. Leave a comment down below and let me know what family-friendly scary movies you'd have on your list. That way we can compare, and who knows, one of you might convince me to change my mind. Okay. On to the list. Number 5, Goosebumps. I love the Goosebump books. Just take a look at the collection I still have today. Probably my favorite kids books until I read the Harry Potters. Goosebumps stars Jack Black. He plays R.L. Stine, the author of the Goosebumps series. By the way, whenever I watch Wheel of Fortune, the free letters during the final round, they always remind me of R.L. Stine. Does that happen with anybody else? I can't be the only one, right? Anyway, some kids break into his house and they open up some magical copies of his books, which allows the characters inside the books to escape. We've got Slappy the dummy, the abominable snowman, the gnomes. It's a lot of fun watching all the monsters from the books kind of take form. If you've already read the Goosebump books, then you've probably already seen the movie, so I don't really need to tell you. But if you haven't read the books and you're not familiar with R.L. Stine, who cares? Go check out the movie anyway. It's still a lot of fun. Number 4, Witches. This movie scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. It's about a young boy, Luke, who's on vacation with his grandmother in some large hotel. The boy encounters a group of witches who are also at the hotel for some witch gathering. The witches end up capturing the boy and turning him and his friend into rats. The boys, along with the grandmother, have to work together to figure out how to turn themselves back into human form. The costumes of the witches are legit. They look really good, and the transformation scenes are top-notch special effects, especially for their time. You should definitely check this movie out. Number 3, Little Monsters. This movie made me wish I had monsters living under my bed. Fred Savage plays a little boy, Brian, who has a monster living under his bed. The monster is played by Howie Mandel, who, he's hilarious in this movie. The movie also came out a year or so before Bobby's World, so this was my introduction to Howie Mandel. So in the movie, there's some sort of monster dimension, and the portal into that world is under your bed. It's kind of like Monsters, Inc., but this movie came out way before, and instead of being in the closet, it's under your bed. So Brian and his new monster friend start exploring the monster kingdom, and they go on some fun adventures using the portals to go into other kids' bedrooms and kind of prank people in the neighborhood. It's definitely not a movie plot that would work today, given its kind of creepy premise, but it works for this movie and it's a lot of fun. Anyway, the longer Brian stays in the monster kingdom, the more he becomes a monster himself, so he needs to cut off ties with his brand new monster friend. It's an interesting Neverland twist and it makes it a lot of fun. Number 2, Coraline. Holy cow, talk about a creepy movie. This movie follows a little girl, Coraline. After she and her family move into their new home, she explores the neighborhood, meeting all kinds of strange and unique, kind of funny characters. There's a couple of old actresses who still think they're young and beautiful. There's an old man who trains circus mice. These are some pretty funny characters kind of throughout the movie. She ends up finding a small door in a house that acts as a portal to another dimension. There she finds everything is almost exactly the same, except all the people have buttons for eyes. Her parents there are much more fun and involved in her life. In the real world, her parents are kind of busy getting settled into the house themselves and busy with work, so they don't give her a lot of attention. But in the alternate dimension, they give her all kinds of attention. Well, it turns out that the mother in the alternate dimension is also trying to lure her in to stay there so she can consume her soul. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty creepy. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to. The art style is gorgeous. The movie was actually done by Laika Studios, the same studio who made another one of my favorites, Kubo. So if you've seen Kubo and you're familiar with that art style, I recommend definitely checking this one out. Or if you've seen Coraline but not Kubo, check that one out. Now before I get to my number 1, here's some honorable mentions. Coco. Technically this isn't a scary movie. That's why I had a hard time putting it on my actual top 5. But it's definitely a movie worth watching during the Halloween season. Or El Dia de los Muertos. This movie actually really pulls on my heartstrings. It actually brings a tear to my eye every time I watch it. My grandfather passed away a few years ago with Alzheimer's, so the elderly and in particular memory loss, it really gets to me every time. Dracula, Dead and Loving It. This movie isn't necessarily a family-friendly movie, so again, I couldn't technically put it on my list. It's also considered one of Mel Brooks' worst movies, but you know what? I don't care. I love this movie, and it definitely deserves some credit, so here it is. Okay, number 1. Ernest Scared Stupid. What can I say? I'm a huge Ernest fan. I love Jim Varney, and as far as I'm concerned, he was Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey. I grew up with this guy. All of his faces and impressions and slapstick comedy. I mean, I ate this stuff up as a kid. And I especially like those two guys who are always in his movies, the big guy and the skinny guy who never talks. Pretty much Ernest's version of like Penn and Teller. In this movie, Ernest accidentally awakens an evil troll that consumes children's souls. And this is legit scary, especially for a kid's movie. When the troll takes that little girl in her bed, oh my god. It's also really funny. One of my favorite gags in the movie is when Ernest is trying to figure out how to kill the trolls. He's reading a book, but some of the pages got messed up, and he reads it as M-I something K. And he goes out and buys a bunch of Miak. For the longest time as a kid, I really thought that there was something called Miak. In fact, if I learned today, right now, that Miak was a real thing, I'd probably be willing to go along with it. Not only is this my favorite family-friendly scary movie, this is probably one of my favorite Ernest movies. If you haven't checked this one out, you should. Watch it with the kids, or just watch it on your own. Either way, it's worth it. Well, that's my list. Emphasis on my list. If you don't agree, that's okay. No need to get upset and mad. Just leave a comment down below and let me know what you'd have on your list. As always, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe. That way you can stay up to date on what I'm watching. And don't forget to tune in next week when I reveal my next top 5 video. Until then, let's not just watch movies. Let's talk about them too.